Hi, I'm Karen Rice and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to demonstrate a landscape painting. I've got an example of it here, a demonstration I did with my students this week. And as you can see, flowers in the foreground that I'll be showing you how to do. Some beautiful sunshine in the distance with some grasses, a tree trunk. I mean, there's lots to do here. It's going to be great fun, lots of different techniques. I will be using masking fluid for the white flowers, wet on wet for the background and the grasses, and scraping out with my trusty plastic card, you know I love to use, with the tree trunk. But let's get started. So this is the stunning photograph I'm going to be using as a reference for my painting, and information about this is seen in the following screen. White blooming flower under tree during daytime is found on pexels.com and it is free to use. And here are all the materials I will be using in this demonstration. I've got a list of these in the description below, and please ask any questions. So I'm just starting to draw. There's not much drawing in this picture, as you can see. I've just drawn the side of the trunk of the tree there, the bottom of the trunk, and the horizon line. So here goes. I'm using the masking fluid. So I'm going to put the masking fluid on. I'm using a PBO drawing pen. It has masking fluid in it, and it's an easier way of applying masking fluid. But you can also use your masking fluid using it with a brush, dip it in some liquid soap to protect the brush, and use your ordinary masking fluid. It doesn't matter. I'm just testing this out to see how good it is, because it almost feels like a cleaner, easier way of applying masking fluid. So we'll see how it goes. So as you can see, I've finished putting all my masking fluid on. I've got lots of small little dots in the distance and smaller flowers, and much larger ones in the foreground. So that creates a little bit of depth in the painting, quite good when you want to create a 3D space. So I want to keep this as simple as possible. I'm just mixing up 3 colours, starting off with the Winsor & Newton lemon yellow, and sort of not too watery, a little bit creamy, because I'm actually going to be wetting the paper. The Quinacridone gold, Winsor & Newton Quinacridone gold. Isn't that a beautiful colour? Stunning. And I'm using one of the Daniel Smith greens as well. So once you've got the colours mixed up, wet your paper, give it a good soak. I'm using the large squirrel hair brush here, really giving my paper a good soak. You don't want too many puddles on it, you want the sort of soak, you know, the water to soak into the paper. So I'm leaving a big gap for the sun, the light of the sun here, and painting the lemon yellow all around the top half of the painting. And then I'm putting on the Quinacridone gold, slightly thicker than the lemon yellow, damp into damp for the sort of distant trees in the painting, and then putting on the green, again damp into damp. And as you can see, in some areas I've really slowed down the video so you can see exactly what I'm doing. In this instance here, I'm using a bit of kitchen towel and pulling out the light of the sun. Just mixing up a dark brown using Sepia and the Quinacridone Gold. Just putting this on damp onto damp to the tree trunk. So you've got the undercolours coming through, but these darks on top. I mean, this is just watercolour at its best, really. These glowing colours coming through, they're just simply gorgeous. I'm going to paint in a little bit more dark green grasses here, mixing the Daniel Smith greens with the Winsor & Newton sepia. Just painting this damp into damp to really pull out the dark shadows of the grasses. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of table salt on, just ordinary table salt. I'm going to sprinkle it on to the damp paint. So what it'll do is create some texture when it's dry. It sort of soaks up the paint, so the salt absorbs the paint, and it's quite a nice technique. So once the painting is dry, brush off your salt. What I've done now is I've actually dampened the paper again because I want to paint a little bit wet on wet. So I'm mixing up a dark, really dark, juicy dark brown with the Quinacridone Rust and the Sepia. So I'm just continuing on making all these delicious greens and just keep adding the paint in there. And you can see where the tree is casting the shadow. I just want to get some really rich paint in there, because the thing with watercolour is once it dries, it does pale back. So I just want to get all these lovely darks in there. As you can see, my background, it's dry, it's paled off a bit as well, so I'm just going to wet it again. Just be really careful when you're wetting a watercolour painting that you don't take off the paint underneath, because as you know, it's not permanent, so you have to be really gentle with it. That's why we use such soft brushes. So I'm just mixing up a bit of the Quinacridone, a little bit of the rust, just some, really, when your palette gets to this stage, you've got lots of other secondary colours that you can put in there. So I'm just putting in damp into damp, some richer colours for these distant trees, and also to make the white in the middle there, exaggerate it a little bit more so it really looks like sunlight coming through. So as you can see now, I'm scraping off the dark brown that I put on, that thick creamy paint I put on earlier. Don't let it dry too quickly, don't take it off too soon. Make sure it's sort of almost the sheen of the paper has sort of gone a little bit, and then start to scrape off. Otherwise you're just moving paint around really. And I'm now sort of using the point of the card and lifting off some grasses, light grasses going into the bottom of the tree trunk there. It's quite a nice technique. I'm just mixing up a really dark colour here and just painting some of the darks in this tree now with sepia. And I just wanted to paint this edge quite dark, only just to pull this tree forward from the background, creating some depth in the picture. Removed all the masking fluid, and as you can see, some of the paint's got through, so I like my other method of applying masking fluid with a brush out of the bottle. I'm now putting in the centres. I've used the yellow and a little bit of Quinacridone rust to create that orangey colour there. I'm painting in some light grasses just on the base of the tree there because it's a bit dark, and I'm just putting in some sunlit grasses here and there, just adding a little bit more detail using a lot of yellow and a tiny touch of green. To finish off the painting, I've used a piece of paper to mask out my sky, and I'm spattering in that lovely Winsor & Newton lemon yellow to put in some more wild flowers. I've decided also I've got a little bit of the Cotman white Winsor & Newton paint, and I've spattered into some white flowers as well. As you can see, I've removed the masking tape now, and it's given it a lovely border, and as I say, you can leave it like that, or I'm just trying it now with a mount just to frame it. It always brings out the best of a painting when you put a mount round it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I have. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to get updates of my latest videos. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.